Hang on. Left my glasses at home.
Not your style.
That could be. It's more for seeing distance and. That wouldn't have been pretty funny. I just said I've got my glasses. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the special council meeting of Wyndham City Council this Tuesday, 11 June 2019. In the spirit of reconciliation, before we begin this meeting, I acknowledge the peoples of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which Wyndham is being built, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. Please stand for the opening prayer and welcome. We pray for guidance in the council's decision making to achieve the best outcome for the people of Wyndham. Thank you. I would like to welcome members of the gallery, press, councillors and staff here tonight for the special council meeting. This special meeting of council is called to hear submissions from the public under section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989 in relation to the proposed annual plan and budget 2019-2020. I'd also like to acknowledge our Director City Operations, Stephen Thorpe, who is acting CEO for this meeting, as Kelly Grigsby is an apology tonight. Some of you may have seen the notices in the foyer, but for those who didn't, I would like to make you aware of the following. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the internet. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Item 2, apologies. Mr Acting CEO, do we have any apologies for this evening?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have an apology this evening from Councillor Henry Barlow, who's currently on approved leave of absence, and also from Councillor Tony Hooper.
Thank you. Councillors, do I have a mover for this item? Thank you, Councillor Peter Maynard. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kim McElhiney. Councillors, I now put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Item 3, declaration by councillors of disclosure of conflict of interest, conflicting personal interests in any item of the agenda. Councillors, does anyone have any conflicts of interest not that they wish to declare? No. Thank you. Item 4, Officers' Reports. Item 4.1, hearing of submissions regarding the proposed annual plan and budget 2019 to 2020. Councillors, do I have a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Peter Maynard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Arndt, thank you. Councillor Maynard, would you like to speak to this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just that I move that standing orders be suspended to hear submissions on the proposed annual plan and budget 1920.
Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Do I have a mover for this motion?
Did I do that? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm excited.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
My apologies.
That's okay. I'll go back to the original motion. Councillors, I now put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Councillors, I now call for a motion to suspend standing orders. Councillor Maynard, thank you.
I've got to be excited because I can't wait to hear what we're going to be presented with. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that standing orders to be suspended to hear submissions on the proposed annual plan and budget for 2019-2020.
Thank you, councillors. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Gibbons. I now put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Hearing of public submissions. This meeting has been called to hear public submissions on the proposed annual plan and budget 2019 to 2020. Developing a budget that will meet the residents' needs in a growing city like Wyndham is a big challenge. Extensive work has been done to develop the annual plan and budget over the past 12 months. However, as part of the process, it is very important that our residents also have the opportunity to be involved in the planning for Wyndham's future. This year, we have received 11 submissions for the proposed annual plan and budget. We take this opportunity to thank everyone for providing their feedback and participating in this process. I wish to advise all submitters that no decision will be made at the meeting this evening. All submissions will be considered and the final report will be provided at the ordinary council meeting on Tuesday, the 25th of June 2019. Each registered speaker this evening will be allocated a maximum of 5 minutes to present on their submission. I will be calling each submitter to the lectern one at a time to make their presentation. Please use the microphone provided. Once at the lectern, please advise your name and if you are representing an organisation and the name of that organisation. At the conclusion of each presentation, councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions only if they wish to seek further clarification. We will now proceed with the public admissions on the proposed annual plan and budget 2019-2020. I would like to now invite Ashok Kumar to the lectern, please. Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. It's Ashok. That's my name.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, that's okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I kind of prepared a presentation for this. It was long enough that I condensed it into 5 slides. So basically, what I'm here for today is, my submission is basically for indoor aquatic center in Point Cook. In the past 11 years in Point Cook, I have seen a lot of growth in terms of estate after estate after estate, but not enough community infrastructure in terms of fitness, aquatic center, or community centers and libraries. So this presentation is basically, I got all the data from ABS and also from your annual 2017-18 annual report. So basically the reason behind is very simple. As I mentioned before, it's a growth of a population, but does not mirror with the growth of infrastructure, community infrastructure. In Wyndham, we only have so far I know, it's only 2 indoor aquatic center that I'm aware of. The one in Dermot Road, which is Aquapulse, and one is Werribee, I think, sports center and fitness center. I haven't been to any of them, to be very honest. With the Aquapulse is very, very impressive, but it's very difficult for people to get into the center, especially during summertime. I have 2 young kids, and they always ask me to, let's go to Aquapulse, let's go to Aquapulse. And every time we try to make it, the car park is always full. And if you're lucky enough to find a car park, then you have to wait on the long queue just to get onto the slide, which makes it very difficult for kids to wait. And it is very difficult, and it's kind of become a health and safety hazard for everybody, where people from Point Cook, people from Werribee, people from Hopper Crossing, people from Tarneit, everyone trying to get into the center, it does not cater the needs for everyone around Wyndham. So I think it's a time that I think the council should consider building up another aquatic and fitness center in Point Cook. The population has grown so much in Point Cook, but I haven't seen any a council-operated aquatic center in Point Cook. So I've done my own research. I kind of compared with the neighboring municipality, that what they offer in terms of aquatic centers and indoor fitness center. So
You have 1 minute, sir.
1 moment. I think in terms of other councils, they are operating at 3, Geelong Council operating at 6, Wyndham, and Wyndham only offering 2 aquatic centers at this stage, which is kind of is not a fair and enough for the people living in Point Cook. So I should stress the council, if they have a study in 2015 to, but their study does not actually cater the needs for the Point Cook. I would like the council to consider this and build another indoor aquatic center, so the people from Point Cook don't have to travel to aquatic center, Aquapulse, and wait for hours and hours in the car park. So that's my case. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Councillors, do you have any questions that you would like to ask this evening of this presentation? Councillor McElhiney, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want clarification. My understanding is the budget does have some funding allocated to review the aquatic strategy. There was a small amount of money allocated to look at.
I'll ask David Simmons if he can respond to that. Thank you, David.
Yeah, there is some money allocated in the 1920 budget for to look at possible aquatic facilities or partnerships within the eastern part of the city.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you. Did anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Councillor Ahn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is the important issue. So I think I've heard this issue since from last year's submission. So I do hope, I understand our officers are working hard on this sports strategy, and I do looking forward to receive some more detailed report regarding the progress of this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for your presentation. The next presenter is Gary Yang, please. Thank you, Gary. Gary, you've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Gary. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have a say. This evening, on behalf of a group of local Point Cook residents, my presentation topic is related to bus service 498, route 498, that's right. And we, a group about dozens of us, including our family, are having serious difficulty to get on board bus 498 in the morning at peak hours. What's happening? So if you have a look of the Google map here, so we normally try to get on bus at the corner of Sneedy's Road and Hackers. There's a stop over there. And we often found it's very difficult to get on, and for at least two reasons. One is it's the last stop before the Susan Corey's High School, and you can expect many students on the bus during that time. Another reason is we are one of the fastest, growing suburb city in Australia in terms of population. And another reason is that the bus frequency is not very practical. I will detail that in the next slides. So people are trying to get on bus to go to the Hopper Crossing train station, to work in city or somewhere. But we found that it's becoming more and more hard over in the past 1 year. So it's we have a few pain points. Firstly, I say the bus is overloaded, and worst of all, sometimes it doesn't stop because it doesn't have any room. So the bus driver decided to, skip on us. And the unpractical bus frequency at peak hours. So I will show you the timetable later, but currently it's roughly 46 minutes for one bus waiting. And we had filed many complaints in the past 1 year, or someone said 1.5 years ago. But to organizations like PTV, CDC, we tried many times. We often heard from them, we are investigating, your query is taken, but no any action so far. And it caused some extra financial burden to local families because as a food fare payer, we have to pay extra monthly to call a cab service in case we miss the bus or the bus driver decided not to let us on. And last point is potential unemployment risk. What do I mean by that? Where if I have to explain to my boss, why I get late by 40 minutes or 1 hour every week because of the unreliable bus service, my boss may see me as an unreliable employee. So that's my point. So those are the points we contribute as a group. And let me just go to the next slide. Here is the daily picture you can see that's truly happening every day during non-school time. And you can see how crowded the bus is, how difficult to get on via both doors. And you can see the timetable on the left-hand side, how long we need to wait. So that's happening every day. So we have tried, PTV organization like PTV, CDC, but no luck. And I know probably this is not the best place to raise our concern, but kind of we are helpless. So that's why I raised my concern in tonight's meeting, and hopefully we can get some help from Council. Thank you much. That's all.
Thank you for your presentation. Councillors, do you have any questions of clarification? Thank you, Councillor Gilligan.
Good presentations, well done. I just thought I'd point out that in the state budget, you'll be happy to know that there's 5 new services that will start as of next month on this particular line. So there you go. So you've done well in terms of your advocacy. Yes, whilst it's state, well done. There you go. You've answered your issues. So hopefully that's a bit quicker.
Thank you. Thank you. So the next presenters are Jordan Morgan and Dan Ash, please. And you have 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Jordan, and this is Daniel. We're from the Wyndham Warriors BMX Club. We're here today to, I suppose, help get some funding towards getting a driveway or car park into our facility. We're one of the oldest BMX clubs in the whole of Victoria, and we're pretty much the only one without a designated driveway or car park. So issues for us at the moment is being winter, when it rains, we can't have clear access into our facility. At the moment we have a dirt driveway in. We've liaised with council over the last 7 years on different entranceways into the facility. So we used to follow a concrete footpath, what was designed for vehicles and pedestrians all the way around to the side of the facility. In the last 3 years, we've been asked to park at the rear of the facility, which is on the grassed area of the wetlands. So to get there, we have to drive through the dirt area. The biggest issue for us is obviously being winter, muddy. We're losing members because we can't get, people don't want to drive their cars through muddy car parks, and we can't park in the surrounding courts or the school car park. We've had many meetings with council to try and rectify the issue. So we've got a few plans and ideas in the works what we'd like to have an on-site meeting with council to discuss further. We are one of the only tracks in Victoria where we are able to ride the facility all year round. So most clubs around Victoria, they can't access they can access it, but they can't utilise their facility during winter months. So ours is one of the very few, if not the only one, where we can ride all year round, which is a massive thing for our club. Dan, do you want to?
Oh, yeah, okay. Hi, thanks for your time. Yeah, the track's been there for more than 35 years, and there's been numerous solutions to the parking problem through the years. Originally, it was always through the school. But as time's gone on, we've been hemmed in by developments, other sports ground, community centres, housing developments. Yeah, and we sort of ran out of options, and basically it's a locked gate into the facility, which is probably 500, 600 metres. It's all shielded by trees, so you can't park where you can see your car, and you can't park a safe distance if you need to get, let's say, a pram to the track or something. It's really complicated. We ran the state titles there a couple of years ago, so it's a world-class facility. As Jordan said, Jordan and his father have managed it for the last 10 or 12 years. It's basically, they've got it to such a level that it is weatherproof, but our car park isn't. So on the really wet days, we can still run coaching or a race, but we have to tell people to park elsewhere because it turns into a mud pit. And we've even had a person crash in the car park because they just slipped off the track. So I see a simple solution. There's a number of entry points from Derrimut Road. You could just a crushed rock, sort of path in, a little car park, just even halfway to the track. Somehow, hopefully not behind a locked fence, so that anyone can come at any time, because that's a problem. Like every other track you can go to and just virtually park right next to the track. And yeah, it's just really hard for people just to come and take their kids. Like kids get a bike for Christmas or whatever. It's hard for them to come without it's a pretty big event, for the parents to get their kids there. And yeah, so we just want something simple. Like they're planting trees along the fence line at the moment and mulching. You could do, like I said, a simple gravel path with plantings along the side, because in a wetland zone as well. So you'd want it sympathetic to the wetland environment, planted out, so any weather events don't wash the track away, don't affect the wetland. Yeah, it'd be a cheap, simple solution. I couldn't see it cost them more than $8,000 to $15,000, and it would be, it would look good, work well, and we're sort of hovering around 80 to 100 members. With the population in this area, Sunbury, which has a lot smaller catchment, but it's got a facility with the car park right beside it. They're up around 200 members because it's quite an easy facility to go to and all that. And yeah, and we're basically got a lot better facility, and people just can't get there. So yeah, if you could help out, it'd be fantastic. And yeah, it'd be good for the people of Werribee, of Wyndham, to have more exercise opportunities. Yeah, like I said, 35 years, and it's we're still struggling with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, that is 5 minutes, okay. Actually. Thank you for that. Thank you for your presentation. Councillors, do you have any questions of clarification, please? Councillor Marcus.
Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. 35 years is a long time. How much potential have you got to grow the club bigger, and where are they coming from? Which demographics are they coming from?
Yeah, so it's everywhere from 2 to 62, but the main age would be 4 to 14, and then you sort of get obviously lower numbers under 4, and a bit less over that. But yeah, that's the real main sort of school kids. Our coaching can get up to 30 kids on a Saturday morning, and that's from beginners to Jordan coaches, like, you know, world class and Australian champions. So, but yeah, look, there's definitely, we could probably have 350, I think we're capable of, with the population of the area. But it's just, like I said, it's sort of like winter, it's been lately, it's just the weather's come in, and you can see the numbers are pretty much halved. As soon as the weather came in the car park, the first week, we pretty much have to tell everyone that you can't park in the car park, and after that it's pretty much starts going off after that. And, yeah, that affects the kids' skill levels too, because we get them up to a level, then they'll stop riding through winter, get into their games again, and all that on the bicycle, and they don't all come back. And so yeah, it's definitely 350. I think we could do. Hopefully 500. 350 is achievable.
Well, you can always look to the future anyway.
Yeah,
so thank you very much.
We're sort of promoting other bike activities too. We want to hopefully make it schools as well. Yeah, at the moment it's just a lot of track.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of clarification? Okay, thank you, councillors. Thank you for your presentation. So now I'd like to invite Bob Fairclough from the Point Cook Action Group. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, first of all, good evening everyone, and I'd just like to thank you for the invitation to address you tonight. I'm representing the Point Cook Action Group, and that group was established to act as a very strong advocate for infrastructure and for services and for projects in our area. But one of the major issues that I'd like to talk to tonight is the transport congestion. And there's 4 areas that we've identified as of considerable concern to the residents. One of them is the intersection of Sneeds and Point Cook Road. We have got a real issue with the surface subsidence along Sneeds Road, Point Cook Road duplication and the Williams Landing car park. Because of time constraints, I'm only going to address the first 2. First of all, there's no doubt we believe that there's a major traffic issue at the intersection of Point Cook and Sneeds Road. Showing in this slide, it demonstrates where the difficulty is. I think the biggest factor is the Point Cook Road itself. The congestion on that road is something to be seen. And because of that, it's virtually very difficult to find a place where you can merge into the traffic. Coming from Sneeds Road east, which is a lot of those cars are lined up, to try and turn into Point Cook is a real issue. Quite often people in the rush hour, it takes them 30 minutes just to go down that road and merge into Point Cook Road. There has been a number of accidents at that site. A lot of minor ones, but there has been some really serious ones involving having to call the ambulance. So we have got real issues there. One thing that we really would like to welcome is the 250,000 grant from council for the preparation of a master plan at this site. We really acknowledge that contribution. It's a great start. But we really need to move forward on the major works. Some people ask us, how does the congestion of Point Cook Road compare to the other roads in Wyndham? Good question, but I think we can answer it by the first dot point there, which is the RACV conducts a biannual red spot survey to try and measure the 10 most congested roads in Wyndham, in Victoria. And as a result of that survey, what we've found, reported, that the Point Cook Road in 2011 rated number 3 as the most congested road in Melbourne. In 2014, number 2, and 2016, number 7. Just put that in context, that means over 6 years, Point Cook Road has been included in the top 10 congested roads in the whole of Melbourne. I think that puts it in context. It's also of interest that there's no other roads in the Western region during that time is within the first 10. So for the whole of the Western region, Point Cook is within that. What have we done about it? Well, we've done a lot. This is the third council budget presentation that I've attended. It's like Groundhog Day, so I hope I don't have another one next year. We've been in regular contact with council staff.
Bob, sorry, you've only got 1 more minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've been particularly in contact with the Harrison Ward councillors. We've made depositions to Jill Hennessy, Minister for Altona. We've submitted a letter to the Minister of Roads and had a good response from Vic Roads for that. More recently, we've mailed out 500 postcards and we've had a great video featuring many of our young people. We do align with the integrated transport strategy. So I think there is a lot of reasons for looking at the funding for that intersection. I'd just like to mention the subsidence issues on Point Cook Road. They are really, really bad. It's like a roller coaster road, and we believe it won't be long before there'll be a major accident as a result of that. So we are asking council to see if they can make an allocation to the Sneeds Road. As far as the intersection goes...
I'm sorry, Bob, it's actually, you've done 5 minutes now.
I'll finish up.
Yes,
I'd just
please.
like to say how that particular intersection is really dangerous. We'd really like to council to see if they could fund the funding for that intersection so that the plans, the contract and the completion of works at that intersection can be undertaken. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for this presentation? No? Good. Thank you, Bob. So the next presenter is Senthil Sundaram. And Senthil, you are also as part of the Point Cook Action Group, but you have made 2 submissions and you'll be speaking to these at the same time. So you have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. This is Senthil Sundaram from Point Cook Action Group. Thanks for the opportunity to advocate for the priority area of public transport on behalf of Point Cook residents. We do appreciate that public transport is a primary responsibility of the state government, but what is required is a sort of a support from council to initiate some catalyst projects, as council has been readily doing in the past few years. We're just asking support for catalyst projects to deliver desired results for the community. So in the slide 1, what you're looking at is the kind of drastic population growth we have seen in Point Cook. So we have seen like 250% population increase and in the last till 2016 and another 24% increase. So and I think we have already seen about the 488 bus issue. I do not specify more on that, the issues we are facing. What is essentially happening is all the buses are getting behind cars, stuck behind cars, and 66% of the people are forced to use cars. So going to the next slide. The good news that came out last week about increased bus frequency for bus routes, 495 and 98 is very good. But still, what has happened is this is only providing more frequency for the existing routes. There are no coverage for new estates, which has been opened up in the last 5 years. Still, there is no coverage and planned in the new announcement as well. The car parks as full as early as 7 a.m. and even the temporary paid car parks are full by 9 a.m. As a result, buses are stuck And what is happening is people also are facing challenges reaching out to locations like Pacific Werribee, Aqua Pulse, Eagle Stadium, etc. So quickly move on to the solutions. So in slide 3. So, so first thing is more local jobs. That is the first primary focus. I think Wyndham Council has been working on it. I will not dwell more on that. I'll move on to the next one, which is a key priority which Point Cook Action Group is supporting, is to support a network of bus lanes for key arterial roads across Wyndham. So just like we have the Dunnings Road and the Palmer's Road getting the bus lanes, we would like to see the bus lanes across all arterial roads across Wyndham, connecting the stations and the key hubs. So Wyndham Council obviously did not fund this, but Wyndham Council can propose it as a model project where we can actually advocate and propose it as a part of a smart city initiative across. It can be a good model for other councils as well. So next one, although council has been doing very good advocacy, like Wyndham get Wyndham moving, etc., etc. What we are seeing is we are not seeing the kind of funding and attention we are getting from the state government. So the proposal is to have a public forum where we get all the elected representatives, the federal MPs, state MPs, to attend a public forum, at least on a half-yearly basis, where they actually listen to the residents directly and they understand the pains. For example, the gentleman who was highlighting about the 498 bus issue, if the MP directly listens to that, the kind of response they see, we can expect is different. Just the petitions on papers and all those websites are not working, really not working. So we are expecting the council just to host this kind of half-yearly forums every year and just invite every MP, all the ministers, concerned ministers for the public transport forum, and let's have a honest conversation that these are the top problems and what is your action plan. Let's ask the question to representatives. And let's understand, try to follow up the action plan on a half-yearly basis. So that is the idea. The next one is pilot innovative solutions, including on-demand public transport. So there are this whole public transport is getting disrupted with on-demand transport. So what we are requesting is council to support the various community organizations, voluntary organizations, and corporates to initiate new initiatives for on-demand public transport, other innovative solutions. So what we would like to ultimately see is Wyndham Council using this public transport issue as a sort of an opportunity to become the hub for innovation for public transport across Australia. That is I want to see the problem converted as an opportunity for generating more jobs and attracting more funding. Next one, in terms of things, there are a lot of amenities missing in Williams Landing Station. So I would like to obviously support for advocacy for more amenities in the Williams Landing Station. Next one is public-private partnership. So basically we need more private partnerships, just like we have done in Wyndham. It's a Werribee Central, where we have collaborated with the private party to get more public parks and a hotel done. We would like to have Wyndham Council engage with the developers at Masters site and even the developer next to Target Car Park. If they can work out a deal similar to that, we could easily get another 400, 500 car parks out of those sites. As of today, if the temporary car park next to Target is gone through a builder, there are 500 cars just stuck on the road. There is no option for car parking for 500 cars on a daily basis in Williams Landing. That is a reality. So this is probably a very good option. And these buildings are going to be started anytime soon. And if you lose this opportunity, it's gone forever. We don't get this site anytime. The next option is in terms of getting the more bus connectivity for new estates, Kingsford, Life, Address, Upper Point Cook. So we are not seeing much coverage. So we would like to have continuous advocacy for that. And that is exactly where the half-yearly forums can really help in terms of getting the representatives to action on the poor problems of residents. The last slide is more options. So one is park and ride shuttle solution. For example, if we have a vacant area near CDC, there is a big vacant area, we could open a temporary car park there, or we could even open a new car park.
You have 1 minute, Santil.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we can open up a new car park in the new proposed Tornate station area, and we can run a shuttle on a dedicated bus lane from that station to the existing Tornate station until the new station is ready. So that can be a temporary solution, and it can be a long-term solution for other new areas as well. The other option is to have trial school buses. So there are new schools being built. There is no public transport plan for that. So we could get community organizations and private associations to work out a collaborative approach to launch school buses, trial school buses. We could actually run hackathons focused on public transport, just focusing on what are these innovative solutions, who are these stakeholders. We could just get everybody into a hackathon and get some ideas done. And the last option is smart signaling key intersections. So although we increase the frequency of buses like 498, the buses get stuck at the corner of Hoppers Lane and Snides Road. That is an existing issue. And we need smart signaling depending on the time of the day where the signals can be changed and we can ensure free flow of traffic. So that's the last option.
I need you to start summing up, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. And that's it for the public transport. I think the core message is, although we are doing all those public initiatives, I think advocacy initiatives, the key thing is to have this public forum with the representatives to get the adequate funding and support. That is the only way we are going to see some realistic changes on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Councillors, do you have any points of or questions of clarification that you would like to ask this evening? No? Great. Thank you, Santil. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So I would now, thank you.
It's the next one.
No, you've had 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, you've had your 10 minutes. Thank you. Hi.
Hello everyone. My name is Karthik Viswanathan and I'm filling in for Nandakumar from Veribit Table Tennis Association. So by this time we would be knowing like how Wyndham is growing in terms of population, in terms of different demographics, and how more and more people are getting into their day-to-day activities. But at the same time, we'd be looking for their active lifestyle. On one hand, yes, we do have a lot of outdoor facilities. And then we do have a lot of parks wherein like there are a lot many sports, outdoor sports are being conducted. But we should be taking into consideration of people who will not be using or not used towards the outdoor sports. There are a lot more people from different demographics who are more interested into the indoor sports, such as table tennis, badminton, netball, basketball, and whatnot, volleyball, and the new game which I learned recently is Indiaka. There are a lot many sports coming across with an indoor thing. So, with that thing, if we just compare a lot many outdoor sports on the indoor, the key advantages for the indoor sports is something like it can be played 24/7, and then it's across the weather, and then it's approachable for anyone from different households. So talking about the solutions that what we can have, as an example, let's talk about the table tennis, what it has been done for the past 1 year. So from the table tennis program, so there was a veteran table tennis program has been conducted, and then it's happening every Tuesday. So we need to work more towards getting off those programs for table tennis. So when we're just taking into the solution perspective for any of the indoor sports, not only for table tennis, for any of the sports, we can start considering first thing with what we have got. So one, we can start endorse the schools or encourage schools or any other educational institutions to lease or rent their space so that we can start using the sports facilities. And when we talk about the upcoming ones, we can start using the existing funds from the sports and grants and build some common indoor facilities across different suburbs. Not only for one specific suburb, we can do some clusters of small indoor sports dedicated to one specific sports. Say, for example, we can do it for badminton in one side of the city, and we can do it for table tennis on the other side of the city, and we can do it so far for each one of those spots. And next, when we start considering with the upcoming estates and the all land developers, we can urge them to create a multi-purpose indoor court as a part of their building planning and the estate planning. And the other option we can consider is we can get some private players to just build and operate and transfer the model back to the council so that it can create more revenue stream as well. And also we can think of some dedicated indoor precinct, one common across Wyndham, so that it can be used by different sporting organizations and clubs, and they can host their events, weekly events, annual events, and even it can be rent for their social sports and events. So that's more for any of the sports, but we are standing on behalf of Table Tennis Association so that we can get some permanent indoor fixtures so that we can start using it for the table tennis. And it can be, again, the same concept can be applied for any of the other sports that can come across. We all wanted to have Wyndham to host more of these indoor events and to produce more of Olympians for Australia. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Councillors, does anyone have any questions of clarification? Councillor Gilligan.
Thanks. Only a quick point. I could be wrong on this, but essentially there is a vacant block of land right next to Tarneet Station that is currently designated as part of the precinct structure plans for an indoor sports stadium.
Okay.
Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of it. Maybe my teammates would be aware of it.
It's quite a large block that's quite vacant there that everyone goes past quite regularly and asks the questions what is going there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a large portion of that is allocated for the purposes of an indoor sports stadium, which requires state funding, but nevertheless perhaps was a point to your solutions that I just thought I'd point out for future reference.
Yep. And we are happy to work with any of the solutions over there with councillors and mayors.
Thank you, Councillor Gilligan. Are there any other questions of clarification? No. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
And we have our final presentation this evening. I'd like to invite Bodie Muse, please. Thank you, Bodie. You've got 5 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to present here tonight. And I just want to take the time to also appreciate what the Wyndham Council has personally done for Culture Hive in supporting youth within the community. Tonight, I would just like to, propose to the Wyndham Council as well to consider allocating budget to a youth co-working space here in Wyndham. For us, I think, personally, our organization, we've done a bit of research working with partners and also doing community dialogues to find out exactly how we can engage young people in the Wyndham community. One of the key things we found is that some young people are actually disengaged, pretty much because some of them really have, it all boils down to financial disadvantages for some of the young people. And that's why we came about, how about if we have a space where young people could actually, after learning skills, either technical skills, graphic skills, or whatever skills that they have, professional skills or creativity, they could have a space where they could collaborate and also invite the business community to actually work with them and also earn by doing so. So from us, we did a personal study on that as well. That looks a bit scary, but for the demographic we're trying to target, we're looking at young people between 15 to 24. And we find that in Wyndham, 15 young people between 15 to 24 years actually make up 24% of the Wyndham population. And among that number as well, we have about 10.8% of these people who are actually disengaged with employment and also education. So for us, what we, so doing that research, we also went out to work, we visited Forum of Young Australians in the city to see how they run their collaborative spaces for young people. And we found that there were a lot of young people who were actually supported to start trained. They have a co-working space where young people actually learn, where they get trained and learn new things and actually also work with local businesses. The whole idea of having a co-working space for young people is where the Wyndham business community is actually growing. It's growing pretty fast, and having young people also engaged in that, in that space would also give them that opportunity to be able to feel supported in a sense. We've met a couple of young people who actually also. Okay, we've met a couple of young people who work in co-working spaces in the city as well, but this is something we would like to bring to the attention of the Wyndham Council, to have a co-working space where, could be a focal point for aspiring young entrepreneurs and also to foster community collaboration within young people and the business community. Also, we believe that having a co-working space like that could also support Wyndham economic growth through youth innovation and local business support, and it could be an avenue to also re-engage young youth disengaged with employment and education. We're proposing that the space would be a space where we could use it to activate freelancers, young people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, producers, makers, and designers. So in that sense, we could have local business community actually visiting that hub to hire young people, even if it is giving them the opportunity to freelance and build tasks. So for us, when we did a bit of research, we checked out a couple of co-working spaces in the city and also in Geelong. We found out that most of the successful co-working spaces, they all had accessibilities. They had ground floor level, access for ease of use, for people with disability, a bit of proximity to public transport as well, and parking. Closeness to cafes. Also, you have something a little bit more creative, more vibey to have young people there. So for us, we also consider how would this model be sustainable? There are a couple of ways to make it really self-sustainable in the long run. There could be private spaces that could be hired out to local businesses. Also, venues there could actually also be hired out for functions and stuff like that. But for the young people, what they could do is we could actually work on a model where we considered working on a model where it would be free for the young people for a while, and there would be an application where you could actually track how earnings and engagement within the business community. Then based on what they earn, they could start getting on the plan where they could start paying to maintain that space or move to their own, depending on how they grow their project or their businesses. So.
It is 5 minutes, yes. Thank you, Bodhi. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Councillors, do you have any questions of clarification in regards to this presentation? Councillor Gilligan.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Do you have a specific site in the city of Wyndham that you think would be appropriate? Have you got any in mind?
We looked around, but I really couldn't point out where exactly that would be located. But I just actually think features like having the place closer to cafes, public transport, public parking might actually be more suitable for these young people. And yeah, that's what I think.
Just to follow up, it's funnily enough, there's quite a bit of work on the Werribee Integrated and Learning Centre, which is part of the Catalyst sites in the Werribee CBD. I think a lot of this would be tailored into that project. That's a $35 million development that will have very much a lot of the elements of what you're talking about built in it.
Okay.
So the reason why I raise that is it's probably something for you to go and Google, if you will, and see how that might work. I know there is some public information, that's why I'm sort of stating it, but I think that'll tie a lot into what you're talking about.
Okay.
Very much a sales.
Is that open yet? Is that something that is yet to be open to the public?
Yeah, obviously that's at the inception stage in terms of the Polygro Group developments, but that's our Catalyst sites that Council's working on. But I just thought I'd point that out for the purposes of what you're talking about, because that very much is tailored to what we're doing as a council now. So I know that's not a point of clarification, but probably answers your question on where an appropriate site might be in the city of Wyndham. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gilligan.
Thank you.
Any other questions of clarification? Okay, thank you again for your presentation, Bodie. I'd like to thank all the presenters again for their presentations and for coming to this special council meeting this evening. It has been very much appreciated and certainly has given us some good insights into some of the ideas and issues that you have raised with us this evening. So thank you again. Council will consider these submissions as part of the final budget, seeking input from the relevant areas of council. Formal notification of council's response will be sent to all the submitters post the ordinary council meeting on Tuesday the 25th of June 2019. Councillors, I now call for a motion to resume standing orders. Thank you, Councillor Maynard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I move that standing orders be resumed.
Councillors, do I have a seconder for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Ahn. Councillors, I now put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Item 5, confidential business. There are none. Item 6, close of meeting. I declare this meeting closed at 7:56 p.m. Thank you.